Welcome back to the channel, comic book friends. My name is Brandon. This is Justin, and you are watching M.O.N.Comics tonight on my channel because the last review we did on Justin of AKA Knowgoodcomics channel for the series. We'll break it down. Happy Friday, Justin. How the heck are you?
Dude, Brandon, I'm doing great, man. Happy Friday to you in the chat. Yeah, man, it's one of those weeks, just happy to kind of finish that out. And then of course, land right here to be able to talk an amazing book with you. Glad that we did kick this off last episode, last month. If anybody missed that, definitely go check that out. But man, I'm doing good, man. How's everything?
Good, man. Just you knocked it out of the park with how you explained it. I'm a custodian, and this was the first week that the kids were back fully in my dorm from Christmas break. So it was a lot of work, that with the family, and then just home stuff. And I hang out with my family. I love being with them. But I was definitely looking forward to this at the end of the week as something to switch up the everyday grind that we do.
Yeah,
I was thirsty. I needed a beer. Cheers. I know you brought your
man.
Cocktail.
Thanks for having me.
So I'm going to go ahead and say hi to the chat in a second. If you're just checking this out, we are reviewing Aliens vs. Avengers. We started out talking about it, Justin and I, and he's like, hey, do you want to do a review on this? So we already reviewed issue 1. It's a 4-part miniseries written by Jonathan Hickman and interior art by Esad Ribic. And it is got a few variant covers from different artists, and it's just an absolute banger of a series. So I don't know if anyone else has been reading this, but we're enjoying it. Renegade Rants Comics. What is going on, dude? Renegade Rants. Did you get the text from Funky Town Comics and Vinyl? I don't know if you did, but they've got the Sentinel head, full-size Sentinel head in Syracuse tomorrow from the X-Men Airbnb. So I might shoot up there with my oldest daughter. You got to go check out their Facebook page. They definitely posted it there. What is going on, Matt in Clemson? How you doing, buddy? He's down south. Doug Bakken, the comic collector coach. What is up, buddy?
Cool.
Christopher Parker, he's relatively local to me. He and I are going to meet up in Syracuse and go to a small little comic show on February 22nd or 23rd. I don't know, Chris. I don't have a calendar in front of me, so I look forward to hanging out with him. And then who else has jumped in the chat? Big Nasty Comics. Dude, thanks for always showing up. We really appreciate it, man. Richard Westfall, the super fan, a mod of my channel. I'm very honored when he comes on a mods. Sal's Comic Corner, part of the Codex Comic Station. If anyone I'm pretty sure everyone in the chat knows about them, but if you don't, go check out their stuff. They are a wellspring of knowledge and good dudes. We got my boy, Tyler. I thought you were on vacation. You're supposed to be somewhere warm. Tyler from Pockets Full of Comics. I know he's starting a vacation soon somewhere warm. It's not warm where I am. It sucks. We got Mike of Casino Comics. Howdy, dude. How you doing, buddy? Steve Driscoll.
There's a
Steve, your package
comic?
goes out tomorrow, buddy, that you won on the giveaway. Steve Driscoll, another wonderful creator.
Nice.
We got No Good in the chat.
I'm everywhere.
Yeah. Anyone else jump in? No, that Saturday. Yes, Chris. Okay. So, guys, we're reviewing Aliens vs. Avengers. Now, this was issue 1, so I just wanted to kind of, if you haven't read this yet, we are spoiling it, so be careful.
There's the warning.
Yeah, that's the warning. If you haven't read the series, maybe you want to click out for a second. We're going to recap issue 1. But basically what happens is, we're opened up with pretty much the same scenery used in the movie Prometheus. And we learn that there is a race, we don't know yet who, that have seeded worlds throughout the universe with alien embryos, queens, and they didn't hold back. They sent, I think it was 4 eggs and 2 queens per pod. They weren't messing around. They were going to make sure it happened. We get the Wakandans in this early, discovering this, and then it moves on to Earth. And we're told, that they're coming, and Earth's already been attacked. All these universes have been, and galaxies and planets have been attacked. And we get to hang out with the Hulk and Tony Stark, who are much older. We also get Carol Danvers and Miles Morales, which leads to the end of the episode when a face hugger attaches to his face. And they're all freaking out, but it turns out he had an alien symbiote on him. And the symbiote trumped the face hugger and took it over. So now he's got this sick black symbiote or black face hugger / symbiote on a white costume. It's the hottest looking thing. Like when Esad Ribic was designing that, he must have been like, "This is so dope." Yeah, right there.
I don't have not the full shot, but that was his.
Right. Yeah, you get the idea. So yeah, issue 1, it leaves you with Miles getting the symbiote assimilated in with a face hugger. And Justin, what were your thoughts on you were an Aliens fans, right? Did you seen the original movies? Did we talk about that last time?
Yeah, so like I definitely have watched the originals, but I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest fan, but I like them, and I know I want to watch more. I was trying to do a binge. I wanted to watch stuff before this next episode, but I couldn't have time for all of it. I do want to this weekend. I'm going to try to watch Romulus because I missed Romulus, the original. So
Yes.
But, yeah. So, like, I mean, obviously I'm an Avengers fan, and I'm always just curious about, any of these crossovers, especially, I mean, the alien stuff. Like, I love the Brood from X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly, hints of ideas were taken from Alien to make the Brood. So, anything of that nature is really cool. So that's what got me into this at first. And of course, just the creators. I mean, Esad Ribic alone and Jason Aaron, they're just automatic for me. I know we talked about it before, but so one of my favorite artists, and got to meet him at Terrificon. Like, he's just incredible. So continues on with this stuff. Even the reprints, it's just so cool that he's doing all that.
How often do the reprints come out?
So it depends on, how much they're purchased throughout, just sales in general. So I know that
Teach me about modern comics.
So I know that this just came out not too long ago. This is issue 2 as a reprint. And that's still Esad's artwork there, and just another angle of what we get in this book. So, that's the other thing I like about it too, as far as the reprint, or the reprints are just like different angles or different viewpoints of the book, a panel or a moment. And then this is cover A from the original, from 2 that came out. So, what was it? Sorry, I said Jason Aaron. Hickman is who I meant. So Hickman was the other one that just, as a writer, the stuff he did for X-Men and a ton of other things like that just got me hooked to want to give this a shot to begin with. So, and of course, yeah, if you guys, we broke down issue 1, man. Like, it's clearly an amazing book. Nothing else needed really there. And then, I'm trying to pick up every cover I can if I can. You got a really cool one for number 2 with the Vision on the front. And I wish I passed on that, and I wish I could go back and get that, because that was silly of me. What's up, Christina?
Is that the 1 in 25 variant?
Yeah. You got that. That's the one you got, right?
Yeah. I couldn't help it.
Such a beautiful. Yeah, I went with the other Hulk one, and I can't find it right now. I've been literally like 20 minutes before we jumped on. I was like looking for all the different variants that I have, and I couldn't find the other one. I'll have to put it's on our show later. But
I had never read Hickman. This was my first introduction to him.
Yeah.
So I think this was a really fun something that Aliens I'm a huge fan of. It holds a lot of nostalgia for me. Bringing that into the comic book world that I love. Chris makes a point that they are, only downfall is it pricier than most new issues. That's the thing with me, is I never really buy modern comics. I'm buying this stuff. So like when I get away with like a sub $10 comic, I'm like, all right. Like, well, I could see people buying a lot of modern comics and they're adding to their pull list each week. I could see how, you want a lot of these special stories. I could see, but I think it's completely worth it. Yeah. Like you said, with Hickman, and my first impression on him is just a wonderful writer, and how he really draws you in. And when he's coupled with Esad Ribic's art, his use of shadows in the art, it's just dark, gritty. I love everything about it. And I was able to pick up, on the very first page of the first issue, they had the Prometheus scene. I was like, oh, that's right out of the movies.
Yeah.
They did it again.
Yeah,
they did it again.
Okay, yeah.
For
I only assumed at this point.
Yeah. And but no, I'm really loving it. And the thing is, there's only 2 more issues after this, right?
Yeah. It's a 4-issue miniseries altogether, and I think that's what blew my mind away too, was just how heavy the stakes are for such a quick jump in. Like it sets the stage very well, and not in a way that it feels rushed or forced in any way, but you know what I mean. And it's like, this matters because the world is going to end, and these characters that we know and we love are struggling. They're not.
And I think they're able to do that, Justin, because they have an advantage, that the fact that the alien species, it populates, it breeds, its life cycle is so quick that it
Yeah,
allows the story to be fast paced, because once you've got aliens infesting an area, it just
right.
goes so quick, and it allows them to move the story along too.
Totally.
If this was a creature that had to wait, a life cycle of like 10 years to become a threat,
Right.
I think it'd be a lot harder to tell the story. And he even uses time jumps here, like
Yeah,
100
yeah.
years, 1,000
Big time.
years,
Yep.
but he does it well. So yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled with the first issue. And of course, you and I, leading up to this one, we start rereading the second issue, and I loved it too. What were your initial thoughts on it as you read through it?
Yeah, like I was curious to see exactly where it was going to pick off from the first, and it really changes up, scenery and like you said, a lot of time jumps. But it's kind of needed to give you that, big picture viewpoint of everything. And I think that, so I have to say, like you mentioned that you read it like multiple times this week again, even when we read this, when it first came out too. And I was like, yeah, I definitely want to reread it. And so a couple of days ago, I reread it. And I'm like, yeah, man, this is so good. And then I read it again this morning or during today and at lunch. And I'm like, I started to like catch certain things that I was like putting pieces together that I think I misinterpreted the first couple times around. So I'm like, wait, like, and then this is where, I want to talk it out, but, and then after I just read it again, like, an hour or so ago, and I'm like, hold on, like my mind started to get blown again because I'm like realizing certain things. So it's so many layers, and that's what's amazing about it. And it's just the size of a comic. It's incredible what they can do within these pages. And I think I've told you, Hickman is a guy who has utilized the tool of writing out a full page, like paragraphed page, sometimes in his comics to give you more in-depth story without without just adding lots of pages in or fitting lots of bubbles in or whatever. But he doesn't even really do that here. So it's just even more impressive that it's just, panel to panel stuff. There's no long paragraphs. And it's still just done really well. So
he really leans into Esad Ribic's art to help tell his story too.
100%. Yeah.
And that's what I loved about it. So what issue 2 cover did you go with?
Yeah. So, I mean, I have the main here. I couldn't find the other one, but this is the cover A's, and anything with this Odd Ribic, I'm always going to buy. He there were so many things that he's done in the past, especially Jason Aaron's Thor run. That was which I know we had talked a little bit about too at the end of the show. But man, this is yeah, I mean, it's just epic. It's all epic. You got the shadows in the background of the aliens kind of creeping behind them, and you get the team. You're expecting the team, but you already know like some things are going down, and people are struggling. So it's a great, overall great cover, and yeah, definitely always want to try to get the cover A's if I can.
Interesting. I go with like this was a cover by, really. Like I could have got that one, but this seemed like the price was right. Now, mind you, chat, I don't buy a ton of modern, so like I don't know what variant numbers and stuff. And Justin said I did okay on it, but I was just happy to get it because it shows the Vision with the Xenomorph, and Vision has changed his molecular structure to let the Xenomorph come through, and he's blasting it in the head with the stone for his beam. And this was like a 1 in 25 variant, you said?
Yeah, it's a 1 in 25. Yeah, which typically would be about $25 on a fair new.
Right,
new
and I think I got it for
purchase.
$20. I think someone was moving on eBay for 20.
It's amazing.
And I just wanted it because to just that prolific hero versus villain, the hero's above the villain. It reminds me of like when they're explaining the panel in Unbreakable, like just how the artist positioned the heroes and the villains, but it's got the Xenomorph right on front, and I really wanted that.
Yep.
So that's what I went with. And have they released what the cover 3 looks like yet? Or have they released what those look like? Or
just I think they are out there. I actually was going to throw it on the slide, and I ended up not. Real quick, I was going to say, so the artist that you were just holding up is
Paco Medina.
Yeah, that was. So I was like, I know I've seen that work before.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Yeah, there's only two other covers, and yeah, a few others. I know we'll show some of it, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
I mean, that's really a great one. I mean, they all are, but
Well, that's a great
that was,
segue. Let's get right into it.
yeah.
Since we have the slideshow of you being able to show some of these covers, do you want to take? There you go.
Yeah. So this first one, cover A. The next three, kind of in the middle there, are all cover B, C, and D. And then the last two on the far end are the reprints, second printing. And actually, the one at the top, that was the one I just showed before too. That's Esad Ribic. That's like the regular second print. The bottom one underneath it, which is a replica of this, is a version variant of that. I think that is considered a 1 in 25 second print, which is they've been doing it, I guess, for a couple of years now. But I remember when this was like a big deal that second prints were getting 1 in 25s. It was kind of crazy. Some people were angry at it because it's like, oh, like, more things I got to buy and more things that are, more money, than the norm and all this stuff. But like, if you want, if you're a version variant cover collector, like you got to have it, kind of thing. So me personally, I don't mind. I actually like having the trade dress on mine for most of my books. So I actually don't go for the version variants. But if anybody does, or if anybody's interested in this artwork by itself, then it's out there. It's just considered a second print for 1 in 25. So
Hey Kenneth, how you doing, bud?
it is.
Yeah, it's I can go both ways. Like I enjoy them both. I know I see what you're saying about having that classic trade dress up there, especially because it's like in the whale and Yutani symbols, and but also the Virgin variant because I am a big fan of the art in comics, so I love that one too. They're all wonderful. So these three here, I didn't realize that the three middle ones is the one I have cover B. It's the 1 in 25.
I think yours is technically. I guess they don't technically give it a letter since it's a 1 in 25. So it's B is the one with the Hulk at the bottom. C is the Mateus Mananini, if I'm saying that right. Sorry.
That's really cool too.
Yeah, and that was that's a Thor cover. That's just part of the Thor releases that they were doing. But you do get the aliens and stuff, well, obviously Thor's part of Avengers, so that makes sense.
Yep.
But yeah, so what Matt was mentioning in the chat, that bottom one, that is the one I was looking for. I love that cover. And that was the first one I bought actually before cover A, because my LCS actually sold out of this one quickly and I ended up getting it later. But yeah, that Hulk one too is pretty wicked. The artist on that is it's Sorrentino, Andrea Sorrentino, who did some work with Jeff Lemire. Can't think of the name of it right now. Gideon Falls, like a horror kind of guy. So Aliens is like perfect for him.
That's amazing. Yeah, great stuff. I love the covers. Want to dive right into this, dude? I'm excited to talk about this issue.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I'll jump to the next page here.
Anyone from the chat would recognize this. As soon as I open the book. Now, you haven't seen Covenant, have you, Justin?
No, I haven't.
Right out of Covenant, right out of the beginning of Covenant. Now, in Covenant, though, there's only, you see these three guys right here. There's only David, the android, and he goes back. He takes the derelict ship from Prometheus. He gets to the engineer's planet, and he drops, these weapons on that essentially just, it's a bioweapon, and drops them on all the engineers. So I was like, man, they are going right. And it made me wonder, are they going to continue this for every issue? And they've gone in order. So if they're going in order, it could be Prometheus, Covenant, and then Alien. But I didn't know how they'd represent Alien because that's such a isolated story of, Sigourney Weaver and her crew, Dallas, the whole crew, Ripley. That's a story about them, running into one single xenomorph, and it's just by chance. Whereas Prometheus, Covenant, that's laying groundwork for the Alien universe. So
the big picture.
I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off. But I was just super pumped to see this again. But what did this, not seeing this movie, did you get what was going on?
So yeah, like I remember as I'm reading this through again, after a few rereads, like things were starting to click a bit more compared to the first time around. So I'm seeing this guy, and I remember, so I think the first time I read this through, I remember thinking who is Waylon again? That was my question, and I know who he is now. But I'm like, who is Waylon again? I'm like, I'll figure it out. Like that was my mindset. And then even in the little blurb, like 6 pages in, that kind of gives you the who the aliens are, who the Avengers are, that whole thing. I didn't put it in here this time, but it does have a little recap of like one and kind of the situation of what we're about to dive into. And I think I like skipped that the first time reading through, so that made it a little trickier. But I didn't like connect that Waylon being this robot. You mentioned David 8, which is, it's not Waylon, but it's his project that he had initially like created. So this robot is now using these, he figured out basically how to use aliens as a weapon. And so this is them looking back down at them and basically judging and kind of being like, oh, that's what we came from, like these
the engineers created humans,
right,
which created androids.
Right.
So yeah, like they're these guys are very condescending pricks, really.
Yes. Yeah. They're very cocky and very like above, everything. But that was where I like kind of missed that the first time around and just being like, well, so on. So like, who is this guy again? And like, he's a robot, but he's not. So yeah, it helped as I, did another reread through. And again, for anybody who is a diehard Aliens fan, like yourself, Brandon, I'm sure would be even smoother. Because again, Waylon to me was like over my head at first when I jumped back through this. But yeah, so that made sense now at this point. But yeah, this is when does this take place again? This is technically, what does it say? It just says another universe, another time.
Right. And then we start to time jump in the next one, up here in the upper left of that far panel where it says 100 years later, 10,000 planets later. So did they infect 10,000 planets already in those 100 years? Like,
yeah, that's what I took it as.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So yeah,
they were busy.
Yeah, we get this, and this is where like, they're kind of showing, I don't know what that, they have like an engine, like or some kind of like bio engine. Like they're like, I don't know what they're looking at in one of those panels, Justin. I got confused.
Yes. Yeah. It's like, like it looks like a heart almost, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's what says 1,000 years later. It says, are we sure we truly understand what we were looking at? And I said, tough to check the water, brother, without dipping one's toes in the drink. Theoretically, it is not only highly probable, but objectively, it is now also observable. So I'm not sure what that is.
So to me, I took this. I don't know either as far as the actual thing inside, but all that was signifying to me was that it seemed to be some sort of life form. And when even though again this is 1,000 years. So this is now 1,000 years, right? The first one was what 100.
100, yeah.
Now 1,000 years. I took it as like they now have discovered more life when they thought that they had it all, like that they covered everything. And because then they jump back, you see them in their space suits again, saying, and now we are awakened, full of purpose. They said it's been far too long since they've been asleep. So they go off to he said basically with these with the universe to cleanse, full purpose with the universe to cleanse. So it's like them going back off and doing it after discovering more life. That's how I took that.
Yeah. And that thing's brought up at the end too. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what that is because it had me intrigued. And then also when they say with the universe to cleanse, they're gonna.
Yeah, like I just assume they're like, oh shoot, I thought we thought we got everything. We found this though. There's more life. We gotta go back out there and kill the rest of it. And I want to see if I put it on this page. Oh no, I didn't.
No, we go into the next part. Yeah, but so this was just like the lead up showing you these guys have again been doing this for a while. And they've got this idea to cleanse the universe. Why? I don't know if they feel like they're superior because they're robots and they've defeated their maker and then they are their own. I just don't get where their arrogance comes from, and I'm sure we'll find out.
Right. Yeah, same. That was kind of like the gist I got was just the fact that they're robots. They feel like they're all better than all kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to jump into the next?
Let's jump because this is where and this is where we learn all the way on the left hand side. These people who we assume are part of the people, the robots or not necessarily the robots, a corporation working for them. Saying that they pretty much acquired Stark Industries. and they're gonna, he's gonna be able to operate it still, but it falls under the Whalen Corporation,
Yep.
and the Whalen Corporation is from the Aliens universe. It's the evil empire, if you will, that is always trying to in the Prometheus and Covenant, they're the company that go out to find their creators, and in Alien and Aliens are the company that's always trying to get their hand on the aliens as a bioweapon. And they're proposing this to a much older Tony Stark. How do you feel about seeing Tony like this? Like, does it mess with your head?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, he's in this wheelchair. He's like hooked up to all these things. The wheelchair is clearly like a futuristic wheelchair. If there was ever like a blinged out, he's got money kind of wheelchair, it's this one. But yeah, just to see him, like, even his head, he's got all these little metal like plates or something kind of all around his head. Like, kind of curious what some of that stuff is. I just kind of assumed it was to represent this more unique, futuristic, solutions now at this point for health, from his brain and everything else. But it is doom and gloom, though, for sure. Like, it's not sarcastic, happy kind of, the Stark that we kind of, picture or whatever, even though he does have like some one-liners and things like that.
He does. I mean, and like, you just feel like he's like just decrepit and old and kind of like doesn't care what happens.
Yeah.
And even though his body is old, I mean, we quickly learn that, like, his mind isn't gone. Because they're like, we want to ask you a question, like, that you surprise us, I thought this would either be a hostile takeover or a combative corporate mechanism, or, result in a forced capitulation. And they're like, was I expecting too much, or am I simply wrong?
Right.
And you got the second page. And that's when he's like, you ever heard of playing possum? And that's when we get full blown Tony. Did you love this or what? Like,
yeah.
Like, he knew the whole time. He knew that they were trying to acquire him for nefarious reasons.
Yeah.
He went into their computer, which brought me back to, what was it? Avengers, when he like hacks Shield stuff, and finds like he's just always on top of it.
Yeah.
And there's the paragraphs you're talking about, right? Like, in that middle panel, like, everything else is pretty small as far as panels to art, but like that middle panel with all the paragraphs really breaking it down.
So that's not even what I'm talking about. I mean, that's just his actual, like, what they're saying. The paragraphs I was initially referring to are like just literally a page that Hickman would do. That's just a typed out. If you opened up a Word doc right now and just typed out 600 words, he kind of like does that kind of thing. The paragraphs that I missed too were, and I'll just show it's on this page. It's like this recap page essentially.
Oh, gotcha.
So the ones down here,
all right.
That was what had kind of, because it threw me once it mentions in that. It says like, and again, this is technically before these slides that we're looking at. It says David 8, a synthetic design personally by Peter Whalen, has turned on his creator and done what Whalen never could, harnessed a perfect killing machine. And that is what, just that sentence alone, like the rest of it just kind of goes on to say, like, yes, they're setting xenomorphs raining down on planets, yada, yada, yada. Avengers consist of these guys, whoever. And it catches you up on the rest of what we read for Spider-Man and all that stuff.
That's what you're talking about. All right.
Yeah, that one or two lines is kind of what was like re-clicking to me and making me realize who David 8 is, and because I was kind of looking at this, and I remember even thinking at first, I'm like, wait, so I was like, I thought he was a xenomorph. I'm like, are they now normal somehow? Like, are these aliens now looking like humans? Like that first read, I was way confused,
Right.
So that's where that definitely shed a lot of light, and just like, again, trying to figure out who this guy is and his cockiness and everything else. I'm like, okay, so he's a robot. He's created by Whalen. He runs the thing now that Whalen's dead. And he's being very successful in his, controlling of these death machine aliens. So
well put, Justin. Well put. That was a great.
I was confused, but
there's the recap we deserve, but not the one we got. So and they get pit, like Tony's like, I know your whole plan, and they get mad at him and attack him. And Tony right away doesn't mince words. He's like, how long do we have? And he's like, the seed of your extinction will arrive in 16 years and 3 months. I project your survival horizon to last 20 years, given your race's guile and bravado. So like he just comes right out with it. Like he knows Tony's found him out, and he's just like, yeah, they're gonna land in 16 years, but you might have 20 altogether.
Which
And
is a nice little compliment in a way. I was actually surprised
right.
you would spin it that way and say that your race has bravado. I thought he would be like evil about it, like like, oh, it should be 20, but since you guys are weak, you're only gonna have 50, but he wasn't. He actually, and again, I guess that's part of the roboticness. Maybe he doesn't have that sass in him or that attitude per se. I don't know, but maybe a missed opportunity for the robot to take a jab at Tony.
And again, even though Tony's kind of old and beat up, we understand that he is still with it. And then the last panel on that bottom part you highlighted is they have one of the androids, one of the people that one of the android, I don't know what you want to call them, gang that are controlling the xenomorphs. It shows they've got one, they've captured one, and they've taken his head off. And Tony's been studying it, and it makes you wonder, like how much more information Tony gleaned from that one and where they got it. Like it just makes you ask good questions, like where they get it, how they come about it. But he looks so old and so sad in some of these panels, man.
Oh, totally, man. And I love how he's just like zoned out, But so the way I took this with the head, because now it transforms, from those. Over here. So from that top, far side, and his hand, you see the Iron Man hand going off.
Yeah.
So the action happens, and then it fast forwards to, puts it. This says now, in there, and all you see is that same guy's head. I took this as it's that guy, the guy that he called, tried to explain Possum to, and all this other stuff. And Tony is just there, basically saying like, cool, thanks for the info. I basically just needed to confirm all this information, and you just did that for me. Now that I can do that. In my mind, I took it that he killed everybody in that room.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Now that I look back at that panel, I didn't pick that up.
So then time goes on, and it's him now thinking back to that day, because the way he's staring at this body, and it seemed like they kept it alive, so that not alive, but they're keeping it on ice basically, so that they could continue to learn from it, basically.
Yeah, in the original Aliens movies, anytime they had a android that it might have been cut in half or the head torn off, they could still access stuff. They could still plug in the computers and access.
So that's what I took.
Everything they wanted to.
Okay. So yeah, I took it as this guy is that guy from that day that he, explained Possum to, and he's just staring at it.
You're absolutely right. And a lot of times, like when in Alien, when they killed Ash, the evil cyborg that the company wanted to bring back, the xenomorph, like when they killed him, they had just his head left, and they plugged it in, and he was completely honest about like, he's like, you don't have a chance, like, good luck.
Yeah.
But he was a dick about stuff, he was very smart ass, but he'd tell him everything. So I'm sure this robot was the same, of like, we'll tell you everything, you don't stand a chance, like,
right.
Like we've covered our bases.
Yeah.
Really good call on that. That's totally a flashback that I didn't catch out on, Justin.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, man, this is so dark. And again, we talked about, using time in a way that delivers a punch still, even though you're skipping all this time. And this is like this awesome flashback memory. And we still, like you just said, we get Tony still. We still get Tony being himself. And even though he looks, banged up and not in any shape at all, other than being older, and yet now I took it as like, even in that moment, he was still badass.
He still got it.
All those guys out.
Still got it.
Yeah. Like his weaponry, his armor, like all that stuff is still great. And, but now, now that it's a now, because it even says, now it's 20 years after that happened, which is around the time that guy, David, said, you got about 20 years, with human, being with the bravado you have 20 years. So now it's like, he's staring at this body, thinking to himself, okay, David 8 back 20 years ago said that it's probably going to be about 20 years before it's time for us to go and shoot. Like we're at the heels of our feet trying to defend right now. It's time to go. And
he doesn't want to. You can tell he doesn't want to.
No, but he knew he was trying to, just wait out as long as he could. And in the meantime, work on things, which we'll get into. But yeah, that was him kind of buying as much time as he could. And he's just kind of reminiscing at the moment, staring at this thing. So
when you say work on things, that is a wonderful segue into
the
next part of, do you think once he learned this, he started, are you live? Yes, CJ. Once he learned this, do you think he started building the whole, it's not just a spaceship, we learn that what they're on is a whole colony former. Do you think he started building it then, Justin?
Yes, I do. Yeah, that was how I took that. Is the minute he got the information of, okay, 16 to 20 years, clearly we cannot, like, I think Tony just recognized at this point, we are ultimately not going to be able to stop the numbers that aliens have. And so because of that, I need to think of another solution. So, I mean, Tony's always going to leave himself outs. He's always going to leave himself another opportunity to do something different or change the game. So, for him, I think, it very similar to Batman. People say, like, Batman, if he has enough time prepared, he could take on any villain or anybody or whatever. I feel like Tony, in a very similar way, he's like, okay, I have the solution. It's going to take me 20 years to do it. But I'm going to use up every minute of this time. And so, like you said, he builds this rocket ship, or at least the tip of the rocket ship. And as Miles is asking about it, and it's really, like you said, it's a colony thing. It's a whole city to try to repopulate. So he's been knowing about it, for a while.
Yeah, he's methodical. You're right. He's plotting. What's up, guys? He said no more hellos, but what's up, CJ? Anyone in the chat or watching the rewatch, if you haven't checked out CJ's The Shift is live on Kickstarter right now. Go give that a check out. He's collaborated with some of our artists for some really cool stuff. So go check out his Kickstarter. Support your local comic YouTubers and artists. Just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in this scene too, I love that we get Miles sporting that symbiote face hugger. It's just a badass design. Like, Esad Ribic sees that, that chance to use a face hugger in the suit design, and he just made it slap. Like it hits good.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's very well done. I know we showed the one cover that has it, but I hope that they do another cover with that, or another variant or something with the full suit, because that would just look badass.
So Tony's like, we got to leave Earth. Like there's no chance we're going to survive this onslaught. Like he's calculated, he's figured it out. Miles thinks it's just a ship, but he reveals that they've got a whole colony ship with about 1,400 people that they're leaving Earth with.
It's crazy.
And
it is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. I love the little interactions with his, the suit. Careful, we can only trust this one so far. Yep. And like they're talking crap about Tony. And it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Good little signs of humor without, even though it's such a devastating book and situation, Hickman manages to still, throw some quick humor in there, and in this case uses Miles a few times, actually, even on these pages that we're looking at.
Why do you think the symbiote doesn't trust Tony?
So I don't know I wonder if that has to do with just over the course of the years, the symbiote kind of getting to know, Tony, just like anyone else would, or if there's something more to it. Maybe there's something more to it.
Yeah, it is, CJ. You learn at the end of the last issue that a face hugger goes to go on Miles Morales, and he's wearing a symbiote suit, and the symbiote trumps the face hugger and takes the face hugger over, and it combines and makes this badass suit. So that is Miles Morales, Spider-Man. And he's like the only like relatively young one left, as you see. Like, Tony's old, Bruce is hard and chiseled. Like, the Foundation suit, the future Foundation suit.
I don't know what that
is. Is that his white suit, CJ? Let us know on that one.
Maybe.
It's badass though. Badass design. And then we see that what's the plan with the War Machines?
So then at that point, from my understanding of it, like they're going to take off, and so they're going to blow up all the areas around it. And just whatever, for anyone, I guess, that was able to reach there. This is where I got a little confused, because they blow up all the areas so that they can basically buy themselves the time they need and then to take off. But if there's the 1,400 people, does he say when he says 1,400, does he say that they're there right now? Where was that?
Yeah, they're on there. Because they're asking, like, is that enough to repopulate? Bruce is asking,
right,
for like that's not enough for viable population,
right,
to avoid extinction and management genetic drift. And Tony's like, we're not pre-industrial primates cowering in a cave, Bruce. We have advantages. We have experts. So 14
He said
It
it'll
could.
be enough. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
I enjoyed that. That like Tony has again. He calculated to make this whole colony ship take off. Like he's calculated how many people he's
Yeah.
going to need to repopulate a planet somewhere. Just it's not like you don't have it on that panel, but Bruce just looks old, and so yeah, they're going to use the war machines to take out and collapse the areas around them so nothing can get in.
Right. Buy them time and
so they can't. Yeah, they know they are realistic in that if one xenomorph gets on that, they're done. Like they can't control it,
so they can't take any chances. Yeah.
Yeah. Great stuff right here. Yeah.
To this next one here. So yeah, this is right after the explosions. I didn't get some of it. Basically, yeah. Go ahead. You can.
Yeah. So one section didn't collapse that they thought was going to, and it didn't partially collapse with it because it wasn't because of the war machine, and that's because freaking Cap is on his way back. He was out saving people. We get an older Cap, and I just love how Esad Ribic treated Cap with that beard and the hair, but he's still jacked, like he's still Cap,
right?
And they couldn't believe that he made it back. They were just like, even Tony's like, "Damn it, Steve, you're late."
yeah.
And they know he's got hundreds of people with him. And even Carol Danvers is like, "No one left behind. That's our captain."
Yeah.
And Tony's like, "I primed the engines. We're lifting off in less than a minute, and they're over a mile away." And Bruce is arguing with him, like, "You have to delay the launch." And Tony says there's one hole in the wall. If an alien gets through, there's nothing left.
Right.
And I loved the end of this because I don't know if you have that panel on the next shot. I mean,
yeah, I can jump into it.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Right there. Yeah. So, well, it's before this. Bruce says, such beasts.
Yes.
But he's talking about himself, really.
Yep.
And we get that wonderful shot of Bruce. They're like, we're going to need your mind more than your might in the coming days, Bruce. And he's like, "I can't do that, old friend. If I did, I'd be a monster." Loved the irony of the writing there. I loved how Hickman did it.
So good. So
yeah. Just the Hulk is just, it's amazing. Like putting that together, those panels together, and Bruce wouldn't let Cap be alone. And that middle panel is just wonderful.
Yes.
It's
him just landing like in the explosion.
Right. Followed up with Cap looking over his shoulder and seeing, like, you're seeing that Cap's vision of Hulk.
Yeah.
Just jacked holding xenomorphs.
Yeah. So many things here. First of all, if you don't mind, I want to go back for a second on this.
Yeah, go back. I was just sorry.
So this is the minute this page right here, because we don't have the other page on here, but basically there's a page that says like, okay, and you see all the War Machine guys, which I did have that one panel. War Machine guys take it out, and it shows rubble pretty much everywhere on the screen, on a radar kind of screen, like computer screen that they're watching. And then they're like, "Wait a second, this sector didn't go off. What happened?" And they're like, "Wait, what? Why would that not go off? There's fail states. Like they should have all went off automatically." And then that's when we see this little glimpse circle, and I read this digitally the first time around. So I have it, and I'm swiping, and the screen gets closer and closer. And then you see, this little ant turn into Captain America.
Yes.
And
I forgot.
Like,
yeah, that's great imagery.
I'm like, let's go. Like, I'm just like so fired up. It's like a movie to me, so that alone, I was like, dude, we got, Cap is back, baby. Let's go. Like, and he's himself, he's like, he's saving people. He's like, no, like, don't leave yet. I got, a couple hundred people, and that matters, like add him to the 1,400 or whatever. Like, it's just him, and I love Captain America. Who doesn't, like the guy's just got all the heart in the world and does what he always believes in. And in this case, saving the lives of more people and going down with the ship. I mean, he's going down with the ship in this sense, trying to buy the time that let those people on. And then, as you said, this part here, this whole page, like especially these two lower panels down here, and him saying, "Or else I'd be if I did that," because he's like, "Stay, don't go with them. We need your brain." And that quote, "I can't do that, old friend. If I did, I'd be a monster." And he just leaps. It just is so. It like I'm like, it's just, I'm like, let's go. Like, I'm so fired up, you know, like reading these parts. I'm like,
Yeah,
God, like Hickman just knows how to deliver.
I love the juxtaposition of Hulk seeming tiny in the air,
Yes, yeah,
against the sky, but when he hits down, you know how big he really is. And yeah,
yeah,
CJ said he likes the panel work. I love it too. I love how Tony in that
yeah,
upper right panel of the first page, that they don't even use like a panel. He's just out in the white,
yep,
and how they broke them all down. And their uses of splash page, both in the first issue and this issue, are really impactful.
yep,
They really take advantage when they need to use them to really drive it home and get you pumped up. And it's what you want to see, man. Yeah, and so I love that. I love how you brought up the Cap being zeroed in on.
yeah,
And
like a radar.
we should cast this movie. Like, who would play these people since they're all old?
Oh my God, that'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be fun.
We get to play the people, but love that image of Hulk with xenomorphs in his
Dude,
hand.
the back flex. Honestly, Lou Ferrigno could still be Hulk right now. He could play this old man Hulk. You know what I mean?
Not only the back flex, but I love Cap's shield is coming
yeah?
through on the side, slicing a xenomorph's head in half.
Yep.
And it's sad, that last panel. And Tony's like, "How long can we?" And Carol's like, "He knew he wasn't coming back." And like you said, the front door is open. We go now. We don't go at all.
Right.
And that's when you realize they're leaving him behind. And that like hit hard.
Dude, so hard. Yeah. And I'll go to this next page because we get kind of the gloom here. Oh, and by the way, I want to say with Hulk, that far panel, and this is in the first issue too, we get to see Hulk smash aliens. Like anyone who's a fan of aliens or Hulk, like this, you get everything you want out of this book.
You really
out
are.
of these both issues. You know, if you ever were to just say, I wonder what Hulk would end up doing to these aliens, like he does exactly what you think he would do, and he just like palms them, like, and catches them, and just, you know, like I want to see this in a live action. Like that's how
And the Xeno's blood like doesn't hurt him, but annoys him. It shows him in the first one. Right. It's kind of like rubbing him. It like definitely like irritates him, but like doesn't do. The acid drips on his shoulder, Scotty. Yeah, it's badass.
Yeah, the detail is there for sure.
Esad Ribic is just amazing. He's quickly become, since Justin introduced me to this, and I've looked at his other art, just amazing.
Yep.
So yeah, they're leaving him behind. Are they really though? Do you think they're really leaving them behind?
I do, unfortunately. I do think. I mean, look, you're right. I mean, because these are the last 2 pages of this scene, and that's all we kind of get. So you're right. It's possible. I just don't know how. I don't know. Some crazy miracles are going to happen for Hulk and Captain America to find another ship, or somewhere else basically, and take off.
But could someone go get them?
True. Yeah.
Vision's shown on. Could Vision come down and save them?
That's true.
Could they send Vision after him? He's on. Maybe they're going to go back, and he's on the front of this issue 2 that I have, the variant edition. Maybe he goes back.
Totally.
And
could be.
And it helps him out. But I mean, they look pretty. Yeah. They don't look like they're doing well. I mean, Hulk's got a Xeno wrapped around his neck. He is squeezing one into juice, and Cap's doing his best. But Cap doesn't look like he's pretty bloodied and bruised too down there.
Yeah. I love seeing the rocket ship kind of just faded in the background, and you get the hint there. They take off, but dude, this second page though is so it's so perfectly done, and it's so emotional because it's just dead silent. That first top panel is just the ship, and you see the horizon of the the planet, and then it just zooms, and then zooms again, and then it just shows you the inside of the team there. Just no words, just silence.
Just
and
defeated.
To me, like I'm just like whatever most saddest, depressing, dark music, like that's when you play that music is to this. Station Bobby.
What's up, Bobby? Yeah, very possible, Bobby. They might not leave Cap.
Yeah.
Maybe he goes back and saves one.
Right.
But no, you're right. How they set the tone. Again, this plays to the wonderful paneling that they pull off here. And again, I said I love Esad Ribic's use of shadows and lighting in his, especially when characters are involved. And he just sets such a somber scene in that last panel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
it says so much without saying anything. Like that's just how well done it is. And to what you said in the very beginning, like Hickman lets Esad do his thing. Like he lets the story be told in panels for a lot of this. So to use up a whole page, not have a word, and really these last 2 pages have what, all of 1 word, whatever Tony's saying at the top. That's it. He says launch.
Launch. Oh, I know, that got me right. That hit me when he's just like launch.
Yep.
And people are saying in the chat, Bobby and CJ saying they'll go back for Cap. So that would be interesting. To see if they do. He's their captain. And there's some ways they can pull it off. I mean, I could think of we haven't seen Thor yet. We haven't seen Vision.
True.
We haven't seen Wanda. Like, there's so many Avengers. It depends on what team they're going to go with.
Sure.
Too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. That's a good point.
We're left after that, and then the next panel.
Oh, wait. Sorry. One thing
go
before we go to this ending. I forgot. He says here, it's within these pages here. They talk about the part of the plan. I meant to say this. Part of the plan is they were going to stop at Mars on the way to their launch out, because Miles is asking, what can I do to help?
Yeah, they're going to stop at Mars and we're going to stop until the mutants were taken off.
Yes, and I love this because for anyone who has read Hickman's X-Men run, and especially the beginning when Hickman was the writer for X-Men, the Krakoan era, the era that just ended, the mutants had taken over Mars and that this is a place. And now, granted, in that run, Hickman stops writing, new writers come in, new ideas come out, and they go in a different direction based on whatever Hickman was initially going to do. But I like that he plants this in here because it's still part of his story that he had initially created. So for anyone who has read that, pick that up. It's just cool that Hickman's like throwing this little, this is the thing I created in this other world, and I'm going to mention it here. And by that, so anyone who reads this who doesn't know that reference, and Brandon, maybe you didn't, but like the X-Men actually did live on Mars and take over Mars essentially.
I remember you telling me that in the first issue. Because they're like the mutants took off for Mars, and
because they were trying to get away.
They're like, that's tying back to what Hickman did before.
Yes.
So he's able to use that. I love it when they're smart writing and tie-ins like that.
Yeah,
and, just how many series was that X-Men issue you're referring to? Or how many issues did Hickman work on it?
So Hickman was on it for like a year and a half.
CJ.
probably like a year and a half.
A year and a half, man. So a bunch of issues.
Yeah. Oh, it was. I mean, it was definitely. And then even after he left, they still had Mars. So that aspect of it was for the whole 3 and however long it was, 3 years.
So the continuity was there.
Yeah. So, if anyone, again, like years later, if anybody picks this book up and reads it and says, "What, mutants on Mars? Like, what's that about?" Like, you could actually learn more. You can actually read, the Krakoan era, and you'll learn more about that. So, but anyways, I just wanted to throw that in there because
I'm so glad you went back to that because I wanted to make sure we touched that they reference them. It's like, well, we got to stop by Mars. I got to mention my
X-Men. all my X-Men brothers.
We got to stop by Mars and tell the mutants where we're going, so they don't try to come back here. And I hope they're coming back anyways.
Right.
Yes, wonderful. And then we go to some of the last panels, and we see there are engineers. Now, these are engineers. I don't know if were you familiar? Did you know who these characters were through anything, Justin? Because you haven't seen Prometheus or Covenant.
No, not really. That was where you mentioned this in the very beginning, and I'm like, it kind of put more pieces together. But I assumed they were some sort of, either they were like humans or some sort of race that helped build, the robots or whatever.
Yeah. So essentially, you're right. Yeah. I mean, these are engineers that we meet in Prometheus and later Covenant too. Okay. They are a race that created not only humans, but then humans created, robots, but they are in a way responsible for the xenomorphs, in that the creatures that they, a lot of the stuff that they had in the bioweapons they had later become xenomorphs. And so, they showed in the beginning of this, they showed David 8 and who are the other androids are taking out. That was a scene right out of Covenant, taking out the engineers. But we see here there are at least 3 engineers that we know of. And, it shows they've got a ship. And this is where, that heart thing is there. Like, what is that? What, or is that just a map? It can't be a map. Like, here it looks different than an organic piece.
Yeah, it does. It does.
But that's what they were looking at. That's what they were looking at.
Yep.
And just great art. The 3 engineers up top, like if I
Yeah.
ever meet Esad Ribic, I want him to do like a sketch of like the engineers for me.
Hell yes.
Because he knocked it out of the park.
Hell yes.
And they're talking in their language. In the panels previously, you can't understand what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
But then they give you that last, the one word that they break down is infection. We don't know what that is that they're looking at, Scott. Me and Justin were talking about it in the show. We don't know. They showed it in the beginning of the issue. It looked more organic. And at this time, it looks like, if anyone want to chime in, I don't think it's a symbiote, Scotty. Because it looks like there's both, metal to it.
Yeah.
There's different parts to it. It's
Like
really,
it could be rock, metal and rock of some
Yeah.
sort. But if it's a living thing, that was just it. If it's a living thing, unless the planet they're on is living somehow.
But regardless, they see that it says infection, and that last panel.
Unless they're I was gonna say unless they're looking at a screen and it's blown up, like it's a visual, on screen. Because the ones on the far side, picture that being a screen for a second, like that they're looking at some computerized, big monitor.
Okay.
And that it's blown up. The reason I bring that up then is, are they looking at something's really zoomed in? Like, is that something in the body of one of them? And they're saying, oh, there's an infection in our bloodstream or in our, I don't know how these guys work, but I don't know. That was just one aspect of it that kind of crossed my mind. But
it could be. Doesn't it look like that's above a city? Doesn't it look like there's structures down below?
It does look, yeah. There definitely looks like there's metal or there's like, So again, that's what I wasn't sure if like they're made out of something that's half robotic or something, half human of some sort, or whatever this alien is. But otherwise, yeah, I don't know. It is tough to say. There's like these like knobs and stuff like that. So it doesn't look.
Describe it. I can't describe it.
Yeah.
It looks like a cauliflower with knobs attached to other cauliflower.
Honestly, 2 of those things look like joysticks on like a video game.
Yes. Yeah.
Like Xbox.
I don't. It'll be interesting to see what that is, but I'll tell you that that last shot of the engineer, he does not look happy. He's pissed.
They're real. So I have a question for you then. So all this says after we see the sad scene of the team in that time period. Now with this, it says elsewhere at the top near your head. And so this is still the current time. So the stuff that we saw in the very beginning, that's all way in the future, right? Compared to right now. So is this, in other words, is it what we're seeing right now, the very beginning of these engineers being taken over? Like, is that what this is showing?
No, I think what we saw before was in the past, and they fast forwarded, that many years to wherever to get to where Tony.
Okay. So that was the other side of it. It was either that or what you're saying. So okay,
right. So elsewhere, so they discovered actually this is that thing blown up. This is this image right here is that thing we're looking at. That's how I'm taking it.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then it's not then it's like a structure then. Of some sort. So then the stuff that we saw in the very beginning, where it's just like, there's 1,000 years, all this other stuff. That means that, hold on, let me scroll. I just want to confirm one thing. If it says here 100 years later, 1,000, 10,000 planets. So when they were talking about like, they woke back up back in the, earlier pages where he says, far too long we've been sleeping, brothers, and now we are awakened, full of purpose, with universes to cleanse. All this is before they even get to Tony, then, right?
Right.
Okay. So yeah. So wow. So in other words, these creatures or whatever, were they around for 1,000 years? Is that?
I'm wondering that because this is probably like pre the first issue. Because the first issue, we see them and the Wakandans show up and figure out what they've done.
Right.
So wouldn't this mean this is before that? Before they even like get to meet the Wakandans? Like this is like setting the stage for everything?
So maybe that. So my only concern with that is if it was before that, and we're talking 1,000 years before that, how is Wayland a thing yet? If he's he was a human that created David 8. We're getting David 8 now, 1,000 years.
Well, it's a different galaxy. If it's different, if it's two different, what I'm saying? Like, so Wayland could have existed in one galaxy, you know what I'm saying?
Like a different universe?
A different universe, sorry.
Okay.
Way before any of this stuff happened.
Okay, got it. Okay, so then that's where I got.
That's one thing I think it could be explained with it.
Yep. Bobby says, now I'm confused. Yeah, like the other side of this is what I was initially, again, this is where I started to get my mind extra blown. I read this as everything we read in the beginning says 1,000 years later, all the beginning stuff happened, the things that in this book that take place. So then we go to now, meaning we fast forward or we rewind 1,000 years back. And so what I took this as is that they already win. Like they win, like the alien, the David 8, like they win down the road. 1,000 years from now, they will win. And that this is what it's going to look like. Iron Man, all those guys, they're all dead 1,000 years from now. However, if we rewind 1,000 years ago, this is like the fight of the human race trying to do whatever they could left to survive and repopulate. So it's, you know what I mean, though? Like, or can you
it could be that, or it could not be. It could be that they skipped around to again tell us like how long this has been plotted for.
Totally.
How long, Tony knew they had 20 years to go.
Right.
And they're setting up where, like these guys have wiped out a good amount of the universe.
See, and that's why, but that's also why I think this, because it says the 20 years part, it says this universe 20 years ago, and it shows this. So before that, it's 100 years later. So if you have present and you have 20 years later is a little hop. I should go this way on camera. 20 years later is a little hop, but then 1,000 years later is like way futuristic, So again, I might be just off and thinking too hard on all this, but that was a part of why I was like confused.
I think we'll find out. I think next issue will break it down more. I doubt they do any more. I think a lot of it was to bring us current on this.
Yeah, right.
But again, reading this, I couldn't be any more impressed with. I love how Hickman writes, and I love how Esad Ribic has presented these characters to us in a unfamiliar and familiar way. They've aged. Galactus aliens, right? I mean, they make the xenomorphs be out. Like they're tearing through the galaxy. And again, these guys didn't screw around. What they say, 4 eggs and 2 queens, I think I said, per pod, and they sent like 3 pods to the most populated areas of each planet. Like
there was so much detail in that.
Yeah, they really made sure that it wasn't just like a couple. And I don't know, I loved this issue. I loved it made you feel sad when the Hulk and Cap were getting left behind. I think at least one will come back. I think the chat might be right with Cap, but I think at least one will come back. And I really like that we're saving. I mean, like Vision and Thor have got to come in, and I think they're going to tear some stuff up. I think something's going to either one of two things are going to happen. They're going to come back, tear things up, and good guys win, or the bad guys are going to have such a good plan that like we just see the Avengers get wiped out.
Right.
That's a possibility.
Totally. And that, again, that's where I thought if it was showing me 1,000 years later, I'm like, they did get all wiped out. Like that's, again, I might be misinterpreted it. Sorry to confuse anybody in the chat.
I think it's too late. I think we got them.
Like you said, maybe we'll, maybe we'll have Hickman give more detail, hopefully in the next one. But you're right, man. This was definitely, it had everything. One of my favorite parts, again, just showing Captain America, zooming in, showing that he's there. It to me was like that on your left moment. And I just love those moments. I look for those moments in comics. And for me, I was like, yes, like, let's go, this had everything, had the emotions, sad side of things, and also the cleverness with Tony Stark in the beginning, all that stuff. So I cannot wait to read issue 3, and we're gonna have to break that one down. Dive into it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm gonna go up to I think the comic store in Syracuse tomorrow. They got something cool that I want to take some footage of.
Yeah.
But I think that I'll be able to order it right through them.
Oh,
And
perfect.
just pay that, pre-order it, and have them send it to my house because it drops on February 5th. Anyone in the chat is wondering, that's when the next issue comes out.
Yep.
And we will be able to see what goes on in the second to final issue. Now, we will be reviewing that one. Justin and I haven't set a date yet, probably towards the end of February, so we can read it a few times, really take it in. And it's going to be on Justin's channel. We thought it would be fun to bounce back and forth on channels. So what if a xenomorph was Galactus, Harold? I love it. Galactus definitely loves alien scrambled eggs. So we'll be on Justin's channel next time. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Actually, what's the date today, Justin? What do we got?
24th.
2 days ago, I just celebrated my 2nd year on YouTube. I can't believe it. It's gone so fast. Thank you. Thanks for everyone for coming and hanging out and showing Justin and myself some love and talking aliens and xenomorphs and Avengers. I love that we're getting this crossover of something very nostalgic from my childhood and something that I very much adore in comics. Justin, what do you got? I think we should wrap this up. I think we went through it pretty deep. What do you got coming up on your channel, my friend?
Yeah, so right now, mainly focusing on Omni X-Men, me and my buddy John from John's Comics with Kids. If any X-Men fans, mutant fans out there want to dive in with us, we've been breaking down Chris Claremont's New Mutants run from the 80s. So it's been a lot of fun. We are now on going to be breaking down issue number 21. We just came off of the Demon Bear read. If anybody's read that before, those amazing 3 issues.
I love comics.
Insane. So yeah. So we're going to be back with that. I think we're gonna be over on John's channel. I'm now mixing it up. Yeah, we do the same thing. We go back and forth on each other's channels. So, but that's gonna be number 20, issue number 21. Yeah, we're on John's channel. So, but yeah, sub us up. Again, if you're X-Men, we've been doing it for 5 years now. And it's my favorite, one of my favorite things to do, just talk X-Men. So, what's up, Stevie? Other than that, I'm gonna be over on Eric's channel here in the first week of February. Side Quest Comics.
Eric of Side Quest Comics, great.
Yeah, gonna be doing another kind of show off at the end of the month, the way he does at the beginning of the month, I should say. So just a fun hangout. I know Ryan Kloss's Collector will be there, and probably a few others. So that's really it. I'm trying to get back into making more content because I miss it, and just trying to carve out time now that the holidays are over. Try to do a little bit more on the channel. So do a little more hunting, and we'll see where the year brings us. So, but that's Brandon, dude, thank you for having me again. I'm so glad that we do this team up. I'm glad.
Pleasure's all on this side of the table, man. I was looking forward to it all. I've been looking forward to it since we did the last one, which is like a month ago.
Yeah. Likewise. And I like that we're spreading it out because we kind of have to spread it out since Hickman's, releasing it, every 3 months. Hey, and for everybody in the chat, yes, February 5th, this 3rd issue comes out. The next issue is not coming out until like June. So just be ready to wait. I
don't like this waiting for modern stuff. I just go buy Silver Age stuff that's been out for years.
It's usually not like this, Brandon. Usually it's at least one. It's usually a month. It's usually like 3 weeks to 4 weeks that you get your next issue. This is an oddball, and I think they're doing it on purpose just because it's so epic and it's Hickman and it's such a big project, even though it's only 4 issues. So I think they're just kind of weighing it out a little, which I like because it's giving us something to talk about and get back together on, and
gives you time to really dissect it.
Yeah. It's not just like a quick, 4 months would be kind of sad, to see it come and go.
Yeah, no, I was able to read this book and then take all sorts of notes about.
Oh, I love it, man.
There's so much stuff,
sticky notes and everything.
Yeah. Like I go through each, after I reread a couple times.
Yeah.
I agree. CJ said the quarterly thing is annoying for 4-issue series.
Yeah.
I as someone who doesn't buy modern often and is loving this, I do find it annoying. I appreciate that the artist and the writer want to have their time to do it right, but you're drawing me in as someone that usually doesn't buy this stuff. So to make me want to get this stuff but make me wait, it is a bit tough, but I'm gonna wait it out. I look forward to your stuff, Justin, for sure. I love your sorts, and you go to Zap Comics and getting your new Comic Book Day stuff and showing us that store.
Yeah.
I got the Big 5 Live tomorrow night with the crew from the Comic Book Canon at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You do. You lose momentum, CJ. That will be featuring Joe, Jeff, Josh, and the Honorable Dan Delatorre. They're going to come on the channel, do the Big Five Live.
Nice.
Great guys. And then next week, I'm hoping to put out a video of an LCS visit that I'm going to do tomorrow with my oldest daughter. Really trying to take her along and see if she this stuff. She loves the superheroes. Like, she's, going to starting to learn how to read. So, see if I can get that going with her.
Nice.
And then I've got
plant the
pickups as
seed.
usual. So
Plant the seed.
Plant the seed. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so funny. She saw I showed her the picture of the thing I'm going to see tomorrow. And she's like, "That's Star Wars, Daddy." I'm like, "No, but good try."
Yeah.
A for effort. It's something else in comics. You'll see it tomorrow, but it's just that her mind is working like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Justin, thanks again for coming over and hanging out. Always good to chill with you on a Friday after a long freaking week and have a drink and talk comics. To the chat, everyone for stopping by. Like, I really appreciate any of the support, people stopping by. While you're in the chat, please go check out all the other YouTube creators that Richard dropped links for. If you're watching this on the rewind, I put them all up on screen. They're all wonderful creators. And also go check out Comic Journey's Kickstarter, which is now live. Him and other artists have collaborated on what looks to be a pretty cool story. And so go check that out. They've worked hard on it. Still only 35 cents just dropped in. What's up in Australia, mate? I hope you're doing well. We're just wrapping up the stream. You'll have to catch it on the rewatch because we are we broke this thing done. You're most welcome, CJ. I hope you're well and staying safe down in the city. It's freaking cold up here in upstate New York. So everyone have a great, safe rest of your weekend. Hope to see you tomorrow night at the Big Five Live. We're streaming all weekend. And until next time, keep reading those comics.
Later.